data-driven business. You didn't get the result you were looking for, but what about just can you embrace the opportunity that's ahead of you guys right now? Is that too, esoteric, or is that the proper way to look at it? Today's a new day, away you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we all know, dwelling on things in the playoffs is not the way to go. So we got a great chance to tie up the series tomorrow at home, and that's the way we're looking at it.
Second row on the right, Ryan.
Evander, a couple games in a row, you've had really solid first periods, but this push that they send your way in the second, you've kind of struggled a little bit with. What would you like to see more from your group when you know they're going to start pushing, and how you can maybe push back and take some of it back?
Yeah, I mean, every team's going to push at certain points in the game. Obviously, you want to make those as short as possible. When you're on the other side of it, I think last night it was a little too long, and obviously they got a lot of momentum and poured it on quite thick in the second period. But at the same time, we had a big goal at the end of that period, and it was a 20-minute hockey game going to the third. So they've seemed to find the timelier goal the last two games, and it's something that we're going to have to find.
Back front left, Mark.
As one of the guys on this team who's always been counted on for timely goals, how has the inability to practice for you the last, however long it's been, a couple months for sure, affected your game, or has it?
I mean, there's no excuse. Obviously, not practicing for anybody, I think, isn't the best thing. But at the same time, we're on the ice. It's the Western Conference Finals, and you got to find a way to step up and perform.
Center left, Daniel.
Leon, the power play has obviously gone through little dips at points in the year. It's going through one now. But I guess I would ask, how much more pressure do you feel when there aren't too many calls and opportunities in the series?
Yeah, obviously we're not getting the opportunities that we'd like, but that's the way it is. Our power play needs to do a better job of creating momentum for a group, and I think we haven't done a very good job of that the last three games in this series. So, obviously look at some things, tweak a couple things, and step up when we need it.
Second row left, Derek.
Hey, Leon. Just want to ask you about the difference between the way LA and Vancouver defended as to Dallas. Dallas seems to be less physical, but more with their sticks, more with their skating ability. How has that been a little different for you guys?
Yeah, it's a different team. They defend a little bit different, play a different style. Nothing that we can't handle as a group. I don't think offensively we've gotten to our game yet, and that's partly because they're doing a good job, and partly us not finding it maybe a little bit. And obviously, yeah, tomorrow's a good chance for us to grab that a little bit and get going.
Second row on the right, Andrew.
Leon, a lot of talk yesterday from the Stars about how they were able to kind of flush that first period. Last round, you guys were able to turn around after a Canucks comeback in Game 1. How do you do that again tomorrow?
It's a new game. We lost the game on home ice. Like I said earlier, it's a great chance for us to tie the series at home tomorrow night in front of our fans in our building. And yeah, it's very simple. Just got to win one game.
Take a couple more. Third row on the left.
Hi, Leon. Closing out games in the third period was kind of this team's bread and butter in the regular season. In the playoffs, you're 0-4 in games that are tied after 40 minutes. Can you kind of pinpoint what the difference is right now compared to the regular season?
I don't think I can. Just haven't done a good enough job of being stubborn with it and closing out games, and obviously that's a big part of our team, and we've lost that a little bit lately, but nothing that I'm too concerned with.
Third row on the right, Tony.
There you go. Morning, Evander. You talk about the timeliness of some of the Stars' goals, and sometimes it has something to do with puck luck. Two-part question for you. Do you feel like you're doing enough as a group to generate enough luck on your side? And if not, what are some of the finer things in the game that you guys can maybe smoothen out to make sure that luck does kind of come your way more often?
To answer your first part of your question, probably not. I think we can definitely get more pucks towards their net. If you look at the goals we've scored, even going back to last night, they're all kind of dirty, greasy goals, slings from bad angles that ended up going in, and their goals are much the same. At the same time, they do a really good job of blocking shots, getting in lanes, making it difficult to get shots through and pucks at their net. But I think as a group, we can have a little bit more of a simpler focus in getting to the net, and at the same time, not giving them, those grade A opportunities that we have specifically last night.
All good? We'll do one more, Rish.
There's some series that are, intense and emotional, and there's scrums after every whistle, and you can tell that there's kind of that real anger there moment to moment. This isn't really one of those series. Does that matter for your group? Do you function well in one versus the other, or is there anything you can do along those lines? I know you're not one to take penalties, but...
Yeah, I think Dallas is coming with a mindset, knowing Pete a little bit on the other side. They don't want to take any penalties. And I think they've, in a way, almost tried to lull things to sleep a little bit. There were a couple of scrums last night with Marchment and whatnot, but, it's been... there's definitely been a lot less of that than the first two series in LA and Vancouver. And I think, that's more of a tactic on their end. I think we can be more physical as a group in all areas, all over the ice, and I think that will help us.
Happen, and why were you guys not able to kind of stem the tide earlier?
It's playoff hockey. There's momentum shifts. You just have to do a better job of managing them, obviously. It was a great first period for us. They pushed back, as you'd expect any good team to do. That's, as far as we are now. So we just didn't push back quick enough. They obviously got three. I like the way we finished the second and gave ourselves a chance to go out and win a period, and obviously we weren't able to do it.
What does pushing back look like, Zach? What's the definition of pushing back when teams come in?
Yeah, I think it's just establishing your game. I think that's the key. I think whoever gets to their game for longer periods tends to win it, right? At that first period, we were on our game. We were controlling the pace. We were controlling the game. Then they push back, and then they're imposing their game on us, right? So I think it's getting back to when that happens, just simplifying things and making the right play and getting it behind them, slowing them down, and then the momentum shifts, and then you can start to take over. And yeah, I think it's just about getting whoever can get to their game the longest wins.
How are the Dallas defend differently than maybe LA and Vancouver did?
I think they stretch the rink. Like they trust their D to make a play, and their forwards are at the far blue line almost, it seems, right? So they trust that their D is going to either rim it out or elude one guy and make a long stretch pass, and then they try to get behind us, and then their D try to try to get ahead of the forwards coming back. So they try to odd man rush it, a little different than the two teams we played previously.
They're not as physical as the last two teams. Is that something, or are they? It doesn't look like it's more.
They're just faster. Like they're fast. They stretch the zone, so it doesn't seem like there's a ton of ozone time on either side. I think there's more rush opportunities both ways than in the previous series. They're just faster.
Their ability to block shots has been a talking point in this series and getting kind of sticks on shots. How big of an impact do you think that's had on you guys? And if you think it's a big impact, what can you do to kind of counter it?
I think everybody's blocking shots. Teams we played before are blocking shots. I think it's, if you can take a step and get around a guy to shoot it, and then that helps. But this time of year, everybody's putting their body on the line.
Zach, I keep hearing that you're about the third guy who said we got it to a tie game after 40 and you had to win a period. In an NHL dressing room, are you focused more on how you got to that period, or the fact that you've had a couple third periods here where it's been tied and you haven't been able to get the goal?
No, I think the key to the playoffs and having experience is understanding that not every game is going to go on script, and being able to manage emotions through a game, right? I think after the first, you come in the room and you're ecstatic with how the period went, right? And they're probably the opposite. They're like, they're not happy with how the period went. And then, halfway through the second, they score 3 goals in 4 minutes, and they're ecstatic, and we're like, what just happened? Right? That's just the way the playoffs go. And we got a goal at the end of the end of the second there to tie it, and then it's a brand new game. It's, they had one period that was great, we had one period that was great. We flush it, and it's like, let's go win a period. And obviously, I thought it was close third. Like, they got the goal, we didn't, and we hit the post. Vinny came down, and Leon made a great play, hits the post. That's hockey. We have to find a way to find that next one, and if they get it, we got to find a way to push back and get it. But you don't sulk on it.
Zach, how do you feel about the looks you're getting in the power play?
I mean, I think we had looks on like this past game. We've had looks. Obviously, there hasn't been as many, so it's hard to get into a rhythm when you have 1 or 2 a game. But it's our job to go out there and produce and score.
And to follow that up, the amount of power plays that you've had, not very many, like you said, you feel a lot more pressure to produce when you don't get that many. You got it.
No, I think we just have to go out there and get our looks, and at worst, gain momentum. I mean, you can't complain about the penalties last game. I don't know if they had a power play, or they had one maybe at the end of the game there with 4 minutes left, but yeah.
Leon discussed just, it seems like, at the evening of the game, you're down, but you wake up the next day and you're at home and it's only 2-1. You kind of look at the positives more the next morning than maybe you do the night before.
Oh yeah, I mean, Dallas is a great team. Like they're give them credit, they're a really good team. But we're a great team. We're with them the whole way. It's 1-goal games every single game. There are times in the game we absolutely dominate, and there are times in the game where they're dominating. So there's nothing to be upset about. There's nothing to sulk about. We've been in this position before. We have a great opportunity, Game 4 at home, to send it to best of 3. And I think that's the mindset that everyone should have is, what an opportunity we have in the Western Conference Finals to make it a best of 3. So we're excited.
Zach, you've taken some goosebumps to the body. How did last night's rank?
It was fine. It's fine.
Inside your knee?
No, it's okay. It's just in the leg.
On the couple of face-offs, whether it's with your dad empty, offensive zones, or key things, is there some stuff you can clean up there to maybe be a little tighter in retrievals and such, that kind of thing?
Those are kind of battles within the battle. Just you got to go and try to win them. Try to win the draw. If you don't win the draw, try to make it a dirty puck so that they can't get a look at the net. But just we all have to dig in. Wingers have to dig in to help with the centers. Centers have to dig in. It's just it's kind of a scrum.
All year, there's a good chance, but I think overall, if we're putting him back in the lineup, we're gonna have a tough decision on who we're gonna take out. So we haven't committed to anything yet.
And you plan on starting Stuart Skinner?
Stuart will be our goalie, yes.
Second row left, Derek.
Hey, Chris, I just want to ask you about the difference in the way Dallas defends as opposed to how Vancouver and Los Angeles defend. They're big, heavy teams, use the body a lot. This team seems to be a good skating team, and they have very good sticks.
Yeah, I think they're well coached. We've got a lot of good hockey players, right, from top to the bottom of the lineup. Really no weaknesses, and they're pretty committed on playing the right way all the time. And for us to get our opportunities, we have to make a few plays. And that being said, I think we've had our plays. I think we've had our opportunities. I think we can just maybe bear down a little bit more on when the scoring chances. I think there's been a lot of missed nets, missed passes, right when we're almost there. But yeah, you're right. They do defend well.
Third row right, Daniel.
Chris, your power play's gone through dips before this season. That has always come out of it. How do you feel about the chances that you guys are getting, and do you feel like there's a bit more pressure on the group to produce, given that there haven't been too many opportunities in the series as a whole?
Well, we haven't seen many power plays, but the last one, every power plays, there's ups and downs, and when it doesn't go well, there's usually noise about, we got to change things up and put somebody else in a different situation or whatever it is. But then we'll continue doing the same thing, and then we'll go 6 for 10 in our next 10 opportunities. We haven't had many power plays, and there has been power plays that haven't gone well. even through the LA series when it looked like it was unstoppable, we still had some of those power plays that things didn't go well. But over the course of the long run, that they work themselves out, and overall, the power plays scores goals. So right now, 3 games has not contributed, but you look at the last power play in the that we had in the second period there. We had every opportunity to score. There was a lot of good looks, and you know, it's going to go in, and yeah, I don't see any reason for concern.
Standing on the left, Jim.
Chris, Darnell Nurse seems to be a lightning rod with the fan base here. He's been on for a lot of goals against 5-on-5. What are you seeing from his game, and what do you think he should be doing a little bit better?
You know, plus minus is obviously a very difficult stat to look at. You know, sometimes you're soaking up minuses when you had nothing to do with the play. It's, you know, your partner, or the forwards that you're out there with, or whatever it is. Maybe a bad goal. It's a tough one. So I take plus minus with a grain of salt. But I think there's still more for him. I think he can play better, and I think it's just being playing on instincts. You know, Darnell, the way he checks and covers the ice, I don't know anyone in the NHL that is able to get around the ice as quick as he can and close plays off. He's so efficient at that, and you know, for him, I think that's his strongest attribute, and for him to play well, that's something he's got to be doing every shift. And like I said, earlier, you look at the stats, and I think it's unfair to say that's his game. But Darnell can play better.
Mark, third row on the left.
Chris, you're very much the exception in this Final Four as a first-time NHL head coach. You moved up quickly. You got here at a young age. But what is it like when you are an assistant or in the minors and you're waiting your chance? You see how reluctant teams generally are to hire first-time coaches.
Well, there's not very many positions, and it's a position that it holds a lot of responsibility. So if you are giving that responsibility to somebody, you want somebody that you're certain that they can handle it and they've done that job before. So, you know, it's tough to put somebody in that position. But that being said, there's a lot of good quality coaches in the minor leagues, whether it's college, American League, junior, whatever, that, yeah, there's a lot of good coaches out there. But, you know, for myself, I feel very fortunate to have this opportunity, and things happen to work out for me. And, you know, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of good coaches out there.
Fourth row on the right.
Hey, Chris, I'm just wondering what you think of the job that your team has done transporting the puck out of its own zone, if there are areas of improvement, and if so, what those are.
You know, I don't think there's any patterns, I guess. You know, if there's a pattern on, you know, when the puck gets dumped in this corner and we're trying to do that and it's unsuccessful, or if it's over here, things like that. You know, there's always going to be mistakes. It can't always be perfect every single time, as much as us coaches want it to be, and we draw it up to be perfect. It's not that easy. You know, we watch our computers and we're putting it on slow motion, we're stopping it, and we're looking at it from up on the skybox, and it's much easier from our point of view. And you have to realize the game is about mistakes, and you're trying to eliminate your mistakes as much as possible. But, you know, I think we've done a pretty good job. You know, there's been mistakes, and that's the game. And as we move forward, we're trying to reduce those. You know, we're not going to eliminate them, but we'll try and reduce them.
Third row on the right, Josh.
Chris, whether it was Game 1 against Vancouver, you know, Game 7 against Vancouver, last night, leads have sort of slipped away from you guys at certain points the last 2 rounds. Do you see common themes or things that are leaking into the game in those moments?
No, I don't think there's any common themes. You know, I think, well, maybe one common theme is the other team plays with a little more desperation. And then for like last night, I just thought we got away from our game. You know, I don't want to take any away from Dallas. Obviously, they played a much better period in the second period than they did in the first. But I look back at what we were doing. Yeah, there's some things that we weren't doing in the second period that we were in the first. And it just small little details. And for us to be successful, those small details are non-negotiable. If we're going to have success, we need everyone doing those and do them every single time. And the mistakes will happen, but those little details, we got to make sure that we're doing those and we're committed to doing those as a five-man unit.
We'll take a few more on the left, Frank.
Chris, you've tinkered with your D pairs in-game and game-to-game, but the same six have played all 15 games to this point. Would you consider making a change for Game 4?
Yeah, we've got a defenseman there that we're very confident in that we could insert. But you know, we're still considering what is best for us. You know, we've got 6 defensemen that have played almost every single game this year. And it's difficult to switch that up right now. But I'm not saying that's not a possibility, but it would be a difficult one.
And if you don't switch, just in terms of trying to find the right fit, what are you looking for?
Just, you know, I think we're confident, and it doesn't matter necessarily what the pairs are. We've gone through the season where it's worked both ways, you know, and I talk about both pairs, the second and third pair, with whether Darnell plays with Vinny or Cody, or, you know, it's worked. And right now we just need to, it's not necessarily on the pairs, it's on guys finding their game. And no matter what we do, coaches, we have our lines put together. And, you know, we can think about, oh, these 3 guys play really together, and now they need a little more of this. And ultimately, it's those guys, when they hit the ice, they got to perform. So I think we just got to find our game.
Second row on the left.
Nobber, are you able to enjoy this playoff ride, this journey, being a first-timer? Or the demands, the pressures, is it too tough to, you know, take it all in and have a look and say, man, this is something?
It is something. I don't get to talk to you guys all the time, and here I am. It's great. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure in this, but I'm enjoying it. I really am. And, you know, you get disappointed after a loss, and then you're upset, but yeah, the adversity just makes everyone stronger. And yeah, so to answer your question, I am enjoying it. And the Stanley Cup playoffs, Final Four, like, you know, I want to say it doesn't get better than this, but it does. You know, it does get better, and hopefully I can tell you about it getting better. So,
take 2 more. Mark, second row left.
Your team has not scored a third period goal in the series, and you've gone in the last 2 games tied after 2 and just didn't get the big goal you needed. You got Corey Perry in a press box right now. Is it tempting to use him?
Oh, absolutely. In the games that we've not used him, it's been tempting. You know, we looked for a change in the Vancouver series, and you know, we had some success. And now, I certainly don't think we had success because we took Corey to the lineup and we put somebody else in. That's ridiculous. But and then you look at this series so far against Dallas, and we felt that we were good enough to win each of those games. Did we play our best? Could the game gone the other way? Yes. Now we have to make a decision on, you know, what does he add? And there's a lot of attributes Corey provides our team: goal scoring, leadership, puck play, smarts, all that stuff. Now, if we do insert him in the lineup, which is a good possibility, now we're taking somebody else out of the lineup that's, you know, what are they providing? Because I think every one of our players has something to provide our team. And now you're adding something. You also have to think about what you're taking away. As a coaching staff, we just have to evaluate the pros and cons and put together a little spreadsheet and make that decision later.
Last one, second row right, Ryan.
Chris, Evander talked about, the Stars don't want to take penalties, obviously, and maybe lulling things a little bit physically. There's not a lot of animosity. There's not a lot of, heat, I would say. Do you think your team plays better when there is a little bit more physicality, a little bit more heat, a little more anger? And do you want to see more of that from your group when the temperature goes up?
You want to play with emotion. Emotion is very important to having success, but often if you have too much emotion, your execution of the fundamentals deteriorates. So as a player, you want to maximize that intensity as much as possible without reducing your skill level or your focus on the systems or your task at hand. Last night, looking at the hit chart, and that's always subjective, but I believe last night was one of our most physical games that we've had throughout the playoffs. And that can say that you're chasing the game, or it's because you're not you don't have the puck, or it can say that you're making sure that you're going out of your way to finish every check and you're not playing as well positionally. So I think it's a fine line on, you do need physicality, you need to play with that emotion, but the concentration is the most important part of the game.